Welcome back, hockey fans, to IceHogs WarmUp. I'm Brittany Tulis alongside Joey Zakcheski as we preview Game 3 of the division finals against the Manitoba Moose.
IceHogs lead this best-of-7 series 2 games to none, with the series now coming out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and coming down to Rockford for the next 3 games. Game 5, if necessary, will be on Saturday, so certainly 3 and 4 here this week, starting this evening. Now, for the Rockford IceHogs, they're going to try and continue this hot streak that they have been on, Brittany, as they are 5-0 in the postseason, but they know coming back to home ice might not always be the easiest case, as Manitoba has done quite well on the road.
And Manitoba has played 3 games on the road so far this postseason and won 2 of them, and by pretty big margins. There were at least a 3-goal gap in between the 2 teams against them in Grand Rapids. But this is only the second home game the IceHogs have had this postseason too, so they haven't really got a chance of taking advantage of being on home ice either.
Well, the last time the IceHogs were on home ice, it was Game 2 of that Chicago Wolves series, in which they would finish that best-of-5 in 3 straight contests. That was a pretty lopsided victory for the IceHogs, 2-2 after the first period, but then they would open things up in the second en route to that 5-2 victory that would help the IceHogs onto the series lead. But again, this is a Manitoba team that throughout the regular season, this has been one of their biggest keys for them, is success away from Winnipeg. They were 17-17, a .500 record on home ice, but 25-9, impressive on the road. So the IceHogs know that Manitoba is going to come out swinging just based off of that trend, but also the Moose, they do not want to go down 3-0 in this best-of-7 series.
No, they don't, especially when the next 2 games and potentially 3 games are away from home. Granted, they are a good road team, but still, it's definitely a tough thing to do in the playoffs, play in a building where the crowd is against you, especially with the crowds the IceHogs are expecting for these games.
It's going to be exciting to see, and I say we take a look at the 3 keys going into tonight's matchup.
So for the first one, we've kind of touched on, the IceHogs need to defend home ice. It's only the second time they've been at home during this postseason, and they need to own that building.
It is still funny to believe that this is just the second home game for the Rockford IceHogs here in the playoffs, but that's what happens when you come in as the 4th seed and the bottom seed in the Central Division. But for the IceHogs, that last game at home, it was a rocking building, over 5,500 fans strong at the BMO, and they were loud. Certainly made it very difficult for the Chicago Wolves to get any momentum, and the IceHogs are going to be depending on that fan base coming into Game 3, as well as the rest of this playoff home stretch for them here down at the BMO. So defending home ice is going to be key, because certainly they do not want to allow Manitoba to have any faith and any momentum, wherever it may come from, to try and get back in this series.
So for the second key, we've touched on, the IceHogs have only had 1 first goal in the game so far. So they need to really come out strong in that first period and get ahead early. You
had a chance to catch up with some of the players about that very same thing. The IceHogs, they've only scored the first goal in the game once, and that was Game 1 against Chicago. So the last 4 straight, they have given up the first tally and relied a little bit on that comeback magic. But now the IceHogs know that they need to have a better first period. That was something that Coach Colleton addressed after Game 1, and he addressed again now after Game 2. He still feels like this team has their best hockey to be played. They just need to get off on a better foot. So the IceHogs, that first period is going to have to be a lot better against this Manitoba group that's going to come out swinging. So this is the 6th game they're going to be playing in the postseason. They've won all 5. They have a nice momentum they can ride in. They have Christy Domenico, who's on a 5-game point streak, who's a nice also momentum to ride on. So that's the 3rd key. And for the IceHogs, I mean, how could you not ride that momentum going 5-0? It's certainly setting all kinds of team records, AHL records to boot. So the IceHogs looking to continue that trend, but it hasn't always been the big 3 in Cody Franson, Adam Clendenning, and Christy Domenico. In fact, Franson, he actually saw a lengthy point streak come to a close last game in Game 2, but Domenico helped pick it up where he left off. So even if those big guys aren't producing points, they're setting up their teammates for auxiliary scoring. And of course, we've seen a lot of that jump come from a player like a Victor Aidschul or a Luke Johnson trying to contribute. Anthony Lewis looking to open up his game in the postseason as well. So for the IceHogs, just riding that momentum, the full 4-line effort and being able to have everyone contribute is going to be a key here against Manitoba in a big Game 3. And what easier way to ride momentum than when you're in your building with the crowd behind you, like I said earlier. It's definitely going to be a good time to play for the IceHogs. Well, that'll do it for IceHogs warm-up before Rockford looks to take a commanding lead in the Central Division Final against the Moose when they take them on at the BMO. The diagnosis of the game with Jeremy Collin is coming up after the break as the pregame show continues. For Brittany Tulis and the rest of IceHogs warm-up, I'm Joseph Zakcheski.